This is episode 11 of The World of Marketing. And I'm still working on it. That whole thing. But it's really exciting to be here. And as everyone can see, we're not in our normal podcast studio because we had to bring the show on the road to see and to once again be in the amazing presence of Mary Beth Crane. Dr. Mary Beth Crane. Don't be fooled by this pretty girl in the blonde hair, as most people have been. She is a very successful multi-gazillionaire podiatrist in North Texas who has created an amazing practice, right, and had everything thrown at her along the way, and you've still done that. So thank you very much for being on my show.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
And so we are at the Top Practices Summit, and you just did the keynote earlier today.
I did. And, I was really touched that Rem asked me to do the keynote speech because, I sit back and think what I've been through is very typical of what everybody else has done. But after speaking with everyone after the talk, I realized that perhaps they just needed to hear the message.
Well, that's what you and I were talking earlier this week about it. And, I think that you were going through what a lot of people do. Like, nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear my story.
No, nobody wants to hear the dirty laundry.
No, but they do. And especially that you were victorious.
Yes. I think that's actually the key, is that life is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You keep getting things thrown at you, and you just have to keep moving forward. The obstacle really is the way. You either go over, under, around. You just figure it out, but you never stop.
So you are from Rhode Island, a little town in Rhode Island?
Yes, I was from a town of 1,200 people in southern Rhode Island. Exit 1.
Now, Rhode Island is a tiny state.
Yes, it's 45 minutes from rim to rim. And
what city?
I was from Ashaway, Rhode Island,
okay.
Which literally is Misquamicut Beach, where Taylor Swift now has a house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she brought
so is it
a whole
one of the
bunch
islands
of paparazzi.
there? Or?
No, it's right on the coast.
Okay.
So we're on the Connecticut border.
Okay. I have a friend in Rhode Island, so
yeah.
Anyway.
It's a beautiful state in the summer, and the last year that I lived there, we had 100 inches of snow between December and February, and I was like, get me out of here.
So when you left there, well, even before you left, and you were trying to figure out what should I do with myself, right? And everybody told you.
I really, growing up in a small town, wanted to escape. Just like every other kid that is like, wow, there's this big bad world out there that I want to explore. So when I was a senior in high school, I applied to Caltech, and my parents immediately were like, no. Because to them, California was like, you might as well have gone to Guam. I mean, It was another planet. So I ended up going to Rhode Island College in Providence, which was only 45 minutes away. But for a small town girl that never got out, it was huge. I had my independence, and I ran cross country, so I had a scholarship, which made it possible.
So you're a big runner.
Yeah,
kind of known for that.
I ran my first race on July 4th, 1979, which means that this July was 40 years.
You were 10?
I was 10. 40 years of competitive running.
How many marathons have you ran?
27, unless you count the ones in an Ironman, and then I've done 29.
Wow.
So just a few.
Just a few.
Yeah.
You're tough. You're tough curl. Tough cookie.
Stubborn. Stubborn is probably more
It's
accurate.
good to have that. So you went to, I don't know how much we should get into it, but I think it's so interesting, all the little parts of how you became a podiatrist.
My undergraduate degree was really in running cross country, so I had to get a degree in something. So it's in exercise physiology and athletic training. And I actually did an internship at Brown as an athletic trainer, and a little, this cute little orthopedist was like, you are way too cute and way too tiny to be an athletic trainer. I mean, we're talking, this is the late 80s, because I graduated in 89. He goes, go to medical school, go to physical therapy, do something else. Don't do this. And he was right. So I kind of explored, and Bruce Werber, who's a podiatrist from Rhode Island, came into my life, looked at my grades and was like, what are you doing? You should not be thinking of PT. You've got a 3.9. Let's go. He drove me to my interview in Boston, and Barry University in Miami was doing regional interviews because they were a smaller school at the time. And literally within 15 minutes of meeting me, seeing my grades, I was offered a full scholarship. bam, bam, the rest is history. So, and I'm really grateful for it. I mean, I endowed a scholarship.
The rest is not history. We're just getting started.
Oh, we're just getting started. That's right.
That's just
Podiatry's been very, very good to me. In the words of Sammy Sosa.
So when you, so after you became a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and so give me the next like big thing.
Well, after you finish medical school, then you have to go do a residency. So I went back to Rhode Island. Mom was cooking and cleaning and doing my laundry, which was awesome. But I had fallen in love with a guy in Florida who was from Texas. So I actually went back to Florida, practiced for a year, got married, and was almost immediately pregnant with my first daughter. And at that point, we said, well, we've got to move someplace with grandparents. I mean, I can't work full time, and he can't work full time, and he traveled all over doing sales. And it was like, well, we either have to go back to Rhode Island, where my parents were, or go to Texas. And Texas was much more palatable. Grapevine, Texas at the time was a small town, one podiatrist. And the guy was older, didn't really do much. And so we moved to Texas. Here I was, pregnant. And I negotiated with the one podiatrist that was there. You know what? I don't know how much.
Were you thinking about that before? Like, were you looking at, like, let me find a small town with one podiatrist?
No, that's where his parents lived. His parents lived in Southlake, which was only a town of 14,000 people at the time. So there was nobody there. All the medicine was in Grapevine, which was just the next town over. So I called this guy up, said, hey, I'm moving here, lock, stock, and barrel. Why don't you just hire me locum tenens? I'll work for a percentage. You don't have to pay anything. I'll pay my own malpractice. I got health insurance. Just pay me a percentage of what I make. And so he did. And then I had Alex. And then within 6 months of having Alex, I was making more money than he was because I was seeing 3 people for the time he was seeing 1. And, I might be a little bit more efficient.
You're a little fast.
Talk a little fast, and I had to actually slow down the way I talked for Texans. God love it. Back then I was a quicker talker than I am now. Anyway, so long story short, I ended up opening Mid-Cities Podiatry by myself with my mother answering the phone.
That is so good.
And my mother, by the way, is deaf, so it's even more entertaining. We had the amplified phone.
Did she move down to Texas?
My dad retired, and so they all moved down to Texas, and they live in Grapevine today.
Oh, very good.
So.
Okay, so now you have. What I love about this story is that you work so much under this deal that he couldn't even afford to pay you, and he had to give you.
Yeah, he gave. We had an office in Grapevine, and we had an office in Euless, and he kept the one in Euless, and he just gave me the one in Grapevine down to the paper clips for all the money he owed me.
I love that.
So it was like instant startup. I mean, we only had enough equipment for 2 rooms, even though we had 5. So every 6 months or so, I'd buy 1 more room of equipment, and then a year goes by, and I had more patients than I could see.
Well, what a message! What a great message for a young kid that might be from a small town that is in the same situation now. Like, what do I do? Everybody's. I'll never amount to anything. But you did. I mean, and you just started following a path.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And things presented themselves along the way.
It's amazing how lucky you become when you work your ass off.
Right.
It's so true.
That's very true. And you just kept on looking for opportunity. And I love that. Well, the great advice is to go just look whatever area you want to be in.
Yeah.
Whatever area, whether it's a doctor or whatever profession, how many are in the town?
It's not only how many are in the town, but how many people are there, how many people can you serve, what kind of services are available, and then how many people that are going to be your competition. Because you'd be amazed on how many incredibly successful people drop themselves into the middle of Idaho or Oregon where there's nobody. In my case, there was a ton of people in Dallas, a ton of people in Fort Worth, but at the time we're at the Mid-Cities, which is halfway between, right by DFW Airport, and there was nobody.
Yeah, and I've got, just on the other side of the world, the lawyer world, I've got guys that have done that just, just Dave Freeze, who we were talking to earlier, he's in Westchester, which is a very affluent area. He chose it, it's where he's from, but he chose that because of the affluent area.
Yeah, I mean, why would you drop yourself where there's like 50 other people you're competing with? Right. And I got there second. And I look at it as that way. There was nobody there. The guy that was there was successful because he was the only answer. So I looked at it and said, well, I can be a better answer.
Now, how was it when you approached him with it? Was he like, who are you?
Actually,
lady? Or was he
I
really
did it.
receptive?
I did it the right way. I went to the local hospital and I said, all right, I understand you have one podiatrist on staff. And I talked to the girls in medical staff services. I said, what do you think? She goes, oh my God, he needs an associate so bad because he's so busy and he's so tired. So I just said, hey, I'm moving to the area. I'm pregnant. I don't know how much I want to work, but I understand you need some help. So I'm going to make it easy for you. Give me the people you don't want to see. Give me your overflow. You just have to pay me a percentage. If I see one person a day and that's all you have, then that's what I do.
That's a great, just great message for everybody listening about doing that. Eat what you kill.
Eat what you kill. And take chances on yourself because I'm the best bet there is.
And how refreshing is that today whenever, most kids are like,
Feed
Kardashian thinking people where it just should come.
Well, I think that even my own associates, I think sometimes think that I just opened up a box and FANT, which is Foot and Ankle Association of North Texas, just popped out. Like it just happened.
Right.
And they don't realize all the blood, sweat, and tears that were behind it.
What is the Jeff Bezos quote that you said?
Yeah. Time and 10 years will make you very successful. It's amazing. Because it doesn't pop out of a pod.
No.
But kids today seem to think that they need to go from I'm driving a Honda and living in an apartment to I'm making $1 million and driving a Mercedes in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it should be fun.
Well, that's what's on TV.
Yeah, it should be fun, not work.
Yeah. Okay, so you did that. You grew that practice. You had other podiatrists.
Yes. Yeah. A good friend of mine from school
Right.
actually called me up one day. This was about, I would say, 2 years in and said, look, I've been working for these guys in Dallas. I'm so unhappy. I don't know what to do. And I said, well, quit your job and come work for me. But I gave her the same deal. I said, but I don't have any money.
Right.
I have patience. But in order to give you patience, I've got to take money out of my own pocket. So how about I just pay your percentage and you come on board and we'll build it together. And bam, she's been with me for 20 years.
Yeah.
And pretty happy.
Yeah. And you guys are like a force. Is there any male doctors?
We have male doctors now. Yes. And that's funny.
You just don't display them.
No. It's funny. We actually
Just
have
beautiful women
3
on it,
women
right.
and 3 men now. But for years, we were the 3 chicks podiatry.
Yeah.
Then we were the 4 chicks podiatry. Then we were 4 chicks and 1 guy. I won't tell you what we called us podiatry. And and then one of the girls retired. And so we ended up with 3 girls and 2 guys, and then now we're 50-50. And people are like, wait, what happened to all the women? So, but we, we grew and we morphed, and we have a really great team on board now. It's funny because when I start talking about how great 1985 was, they all roll their eyes and they're like, yeah, I was in high school or I was just getting born.
When I graduated.
Yeah. I graduated in 86.
Yeah.
But I have doctors that were born.
Yeah.
So it cracks me up. 25 years went really fast.
Right?
Yeah.
Very quickly. One of the things that you were talking about in the keynote that I loved was the networking that you were doing when it was the 3 of you, the 3 ladies, and that you would go out and take other physicians.
Yes.
The female physicians out, and you'd be talking about where do you get your nails done and all that.
We played the chick card really hard. I mean, think of how cheap this is. You go and you take out an OBGYN, you take out an internal medicine, you take out an ear, nose, and throat, and you play the chick card. It's like, hey, where do you take your kids to daycare? Where do you get your nails done? Do you know the best place to do whatever? But you become their friends. And a lot of these people I have run with, I've gone to church with, I go to women's group, we play bunco with. They're our best referring physicians because for 20 years, we're their BFFs.
Yeah.
And that influence, that relationship marketing is inexpensive and your biggest bang for your buck because those people are your friends for life. I mean, I've got one guy I've been running with for almost 20 years. There's 4 podiatrists. Yes, of course. Maybe not today, but there's 4 podiatrists next door to him. literally next door. He has his patients come 12 miles to my office.
That's great.
Because of the fact that,
Yeah.
why would you not see Dr. Crane? She's amazing.
Well, people buy from people they like.
Yeah.
And, there's not one flavor of ice cream for a reason.
Yes.
And, there's different levels of ice cream. You can buy the giant store brand, right? Or Walmart ice cream, or you can buy Haagen-Dazs, and there's a difference.
There is a difference.
And that's true of anything.
And we just have to make sure that we're the Haagen-Dazs. Always.
You are the Haagen-Dazs. You are the Haagen-Dazs for sure. Okay, so you've had trouble in your life, as most people have. We don't need to get into that here, but we've had
We've
your
had
ups and downs.
obstacles.
Yes, you've had obstacles, and anybody that wants to talk to Mary Beth Crane about your obstacles, I'm sure that you'd be happy to talk to other people about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all have roller coaster rides.
Yeah.
There's two things that are for sure, and it's not death and taxes, but there's two things for sure, that there are going to be people that fight against you, obstacles that you have to go in the way, and there's answers for them. So if you can look at every single obstacle and say, how am I going to get through this? Who do I need to help me get through this?
Right.
Trust the group that you have around you, and ask your friends for help. A lot of people try to hide what's going on. I find the more I talk to the people I trust, the better answers I get.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed what people come up with that you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Well, it's true, because you're living in your own little head,
Yeah.
and you think that your problems or your issues are unique to you.
And so much bigger than everybody else's.
Yeah, and the fact is that most of it is in your head anyway.
Yes.
And the other thing it's a wave. Everything is in a wave form. And even the good stuff, like...
It's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems.
Right. Right. If it's great, just wait a little while. It'll
Shit
be
will
bad
happen.
again, and vice versa. And I'm not always great at it, but whenever I'm in a bad state or whatever, I always remember, like, well, you've been in bad states before, and there was always something good after that. So it kind of gets me through. And when something's really good, I'm like, okay, get ready. Because not in a rehearse a difficulty, but just be prepared.
Be prepared.
Because it is the wave of life, and it happens to everyone.
Yeah. Whether it's the stock market or your life. I mean,
Right.
we all remember 2008. We
Yeah.
were all starving to death. Our 401ks were 101ks. Well, 2010, we all got our money back. All you had to do is not touch it.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with life. It's a roller coaster.
Don't overreact.
No, and keep pushing the snowball uphill. It will eventually become an avalanche. Positivity.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
It's true.
You just got to it's a journey.
Absolutely. Keep moving forward.
And, I'm just, you and I have been friends for...
I don't know, 20 years?
It's right?
A long time.
And I've, seen you go through a lot of this stuff. And one of the things is that I've just always been impressed with your attitude about it. You've never been a victim. You've always laughed it off. Even I remember sitting at the Tuscany years ago. Oh, no. It was the other place. It was the cool place that didn't have the casino in it when we were in
I don't
Vegas.
even
And we were
remember.
sitting there. And you were going through something. We were talking about your ex's Corvette.
Yes. And the fact I was going to roll it into the driveway and down into the street.
I was like, wait, no, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And you're
His
like,
Corvette was
"You
sitting
can't
in my
afford it."
garage for 3 years.
Ugh.
And I just kind of left it there, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And one day I did really want to roll it. My lawyer told me I could. He's like, it's on your property. You could just roll it down the
Yeah.
street and don't roll it down the driveway into the street. But it was a really pretty 68 Corvette. And I was like, eventually it'll disappear. So I moved.
it did, right?
I moved. He had to take it.
Well, and that's just an example. I mean, like, you've just always had just a good attitude about whatever was coming your way, and you've had a lot of things.
Well, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Right.
Because being negative is only going to, you start this negative self-talk in your head and everything is bad and now you become Eeyore.
Yeah.
Instead, I've always looked at it as, okay, this is a challenge and wow, I'm not sure I can overcome this challenge, but let's see what I can do. And if you just wake up every morning with a positive attitude and choose to have a great day, even though you got all this shit over your head, you're just
Right.
like, you know what? I can do this. I can get up every day and move that snowball up the hill.
And because you are the leader of your company and the leader of other doctors and people, you have a responsibility
You have
to get
to.
your head right.
Yeah, if you
Otherwise,
walk
everybody's
in,
going to fall apart, right?
You walk in a terrible attitude, like, oh,
Right.
I don't want to go to work today. It's terrible. It's awful. Everyone.
Right.
You know, I've got 40 employees and
Right.
5 other doctors. If I'm awful, everybody's having a bad day. And by that point, they're like, I hate my job. And then they quit.
Do
And
you get up early?
I do. I get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, good.
I get up, I run, I do my positive affirmations, I make my schedule for the day, and then I get everybody else up.
And you have 5 kids?
We have 5 girls between the 2 of
Right.
us, my husband and I. We only have 1 at home at this point. So we have 23, 21, 2 19s, and 13.
But you raised all your children
Oh, yeah.
while you were building this practice.
Yes. I had help.
And your other doctors also have children that were
Yes.
with you that raised their children.
Yeah.
And I say that because I hear so many excuses from people, right? I'm sure you do
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
About how they're too busy or they don't have time.
You know, kids are like such a great gift. Now, I do think that grandchildren are the gift from God
Yeah.
to thank you for not killing your kids.
Yeah.
But kids are really what we're leaving. That's our legacy. And so if we build a fantastic practice and make a ton of money and really think that we've left our mark in the world, guess what? 5 minutes after you retire, you're now replaced with somebody else and they don't remember your name.
Yeah.
Our kids will be there forever. And so we have to spend our money and our energy on making them the best people that they can and making the world a better place by leaving them there. And I look at my girls and I'm proud of who they are. They're wonderful women. Even my teenager, who right now is kind of like that cat that comes out when she wants to get fed and like
Right.
hisses at you when you want to pet her. But she'll get there. But the rest of them, they're all wonderful women.
And one Alex is going to follow your...
No, Caitlin.
Caitlin is going to follow in your footsteps?
Well, she's thinking about it. She's
Yeah.
a sophomore at Oklahoma Baptist, running cross country, doing really well, and is seriously thinking about podiatry. And I'm like, it's a challenge, but you know what? It's a great profession. And she's a runner. She's like my mini me. And, I talk about running all day long. I have people who come to me just because they're like, okay, I want to run my first marathon or I want to do my first Ironman. How do I get there?
Exactly. Because you're known for that.
Because I'm there. I'm
Are
run
these
doc.
patients or just people that are...
Literally, people make appointments as a patient
Wow.
to talk to me about their training.
That's pretty cool.
You know.
Well, you're known. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's what you're known
I mean, my
for.
license plate is Run Doc.
Yeah.
So,
And you have your blog. What is that one again?
fit50andfabulous.com.
Yeah. 'Cause
I also
you're-
have myrundoc.com.
Right. And
So
that's
one
the
is-
blog post that blog that you've had for a long... Since
Yeah.
I've known you.
Yeah, the myrundoc.com is 100% all about running. Fit 50 and Fabulous is basically lifestyle blog for 40 plus women, basically telling them, it's okay to let the S fall off your chest. We don't have to be superwoman all the time.
We should tell your mom about that one, Thomas. Yeah, she won't listen.
You know,
Did you hear that?
I heard that, and you know what?
We're in
The
trouble
thing
for saying
is-
that out loud.
Yeah, probably.
You said it.
But I said it, and it's okay because it took a crisis in my life for me to realize that. I mean, I was in adrenal fatigue, which is basically like feeling like your check engine light is on, you're exhausted all the time, but you're just like, I'm fine, I'll be fine until the car dies. I had heart palpitations, I was gaining weight, I couldn't sleep. Went into my doctor, and she's like, You're in physician burnout. You're in adrenal fatigue. And it was all because of a combination, like the perfect storm of things that had happened. And I had to admit, I had to step back from my own health. I had to change my diet, change my exercise routine, change my sleeping habits, ask for help. Because you try to do everything. I mean, we're expected as women to bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan, clean the pan, put the pan away, and then take the kids, put them to sleep, and then do all the other stuff in the house afterwards. Oh, and get up the next day and do it again.
That sounds like a country song.
Doesn't it?
So what is it? Fit 50 and Fabulous?
Fit50andfabulous.com.
Okay, so that is perfect for Charlotte. Charlotte, I hope you're listening.
Yes. Charlotte, read a few.
Yeah.
There's one about fighting fatigue that basically goes through, okay, here's all the medical reasons.
Yeah.
But most women, it's not a medical reason. It is literally because they're in adrenal fatigue.
My wife's a teacher.
Yeah.
She's on
Stress
her
kills.
feet, and it's, yes.
Stress kills.
Anyway, everybody, so Mary Beth, you're 50 years old. You are retiring in 2 years.
Yep. Done.
I want everybody to hear that. I am completely green with envy about that prospect. Even through all of your ups and downs, you've been able to create a nest egg for you and your family. And you're
I
going to
paid off all my debt.
Yeah.
And
say that about the debt.
Yes. Pay off all your debt as quickly as possible. There is no good debt. If you don't believe me, go read Dave Ramsey's books. Go read The Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you don't need a Mercedes unless you can pay cash. You don't need a 10,000 square foot house. Drive your Honda, live in your small house until all your debts are paid. And then when you can buy a Mercedes cash, go buy one, sister. I mean, come on. We don't.
But it's okay to lease a BMW.
It's okay to lease a BMW. You're so bad. But seriously, pay off your debt. Get your kids' 529s completely funded.
Yeah.
Start a brokerage account. Put half your income in it. Don't even see it. Just have it go automatically. Once a month on the 15th, I have several $1,000s that just disappears from my checking account. And I don't miss it. And if you do that for several years, then you can retire at 52. Because think about this. All you need to live on is 5% of whatever you have saved. So think about what your number is. If you had no mortgage, you have no car payment.
Right.
Everything's paid off. It's not that big.
Right.
Because that 401k, you can't touch it until you're at least 60.
Right.
And you're not going to see Social Security until you're 67.
If you see it at all.
If you see it at all. So you need to plan that you're never going to see it. And you need to just have enough money in the market that you can live off of 5%.
That is excellent advice. And I want everybody to, that's a big deal that you've been able to do that throughout all of the turbulation that would have, chopped the knees off anybody else.
It's all about choices.
Yeah. Well, good for you.
It's all about choices.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm excited to see what happens in the next 2 years. And what do you have plans? What are you going to do?
I've got a lot of things up in the air. I'm probably going to do a women's only coaching practice.
Cool.
And just try to encourage other women to do what I've done. What I've been through is not unusual. The difference is that according to my lawyer, I actually came out of it unscathed in the end. I made money, which is kind of funny.
What's your attitude?
Yeah, it took me 10 years to sell a soccer center, and I just kept laughing at it. But
and it ended up being a volleyball center.
Yes, it ended up being a volleyball center.
If only you had just switched it.
I should have just switched it before.
Right? It's a whatever center you want it to be.
I don't care what you want. I'll put anything in there. Just buy it.
Right. It's got a Corvette in it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's so ridiculous when you look back that I think I should have failed many times over, but we just kept, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how you pick yourself up, dust yourself off and go, okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else.
Exactly.
I mean, I sold the soccer center 3 times before I actually closed the deal. So.
But you keep doing it.
Had to be more creative.
Yeah. Well, Mary Beth Crane, thank you for spending your afternoon with me. I know that you have somewhere that you have to be here shortly.
I do. I have to listen to an amazing other friend of yours, Dave Freeze.
That's right. Oh, well, we'll see what's going on in there. I'm going to go in there and watch it.
Gotta watch that. That's always a circus.
So if somebody wants to get to know you better, and get involved in your coaching program, or just talk to you about running or whatever, just interested in you, how do they get a hold of you?
Actually, it's just Mary Beth at fit50andfabulous.com or myrundoc@gmail.com. Either one I'll answer.
And Fant, FAANT.com.
Yes, sir.
Is
the practice website.
Right, that's the podiatry practice website.
Yep. So you have 3 options. Yeah. You got podiatry, you got running, and you got just women in general.
That's right. And either way, you're a winner. You're a winner in all of them.
Thank you so much, Tom. This has been fun.
Thanks for coming on, and we will talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, everyone. This is Tom Foster signing off for the episode 10.
11?
11. Okay,
you can't count.
I'll figure
it's
it
all
out.
right.
Of the world of marketing. All right.